Okay guys, today we're on the algebra properties, and we're going to identify the properties and use them to justify our mathematical processes. This is day 3 of Unit 1, and there are some property worksheets to go with this just to help you identify the properties. And if you get them done quickly, we're actually going to build a flip chart or create some sort of way to remember these properties. So let's go ahead and go through them real quick. And all your work on this is open notes until the test. The commutative property. The idea about the commutative property is that the order doesn't matter. So, like I say, this commutative starts with CO, which means that you can change the order of multiplication or addition, and it doesn't matter. So A plus B is equal to B plus A. A times B is equal to B times A. So, for example, 4 plus 3 is the same thing as 3 plus 4. 4 times 3 is equal to 3 times 4. And again, my hint is change need order. So change order. It's okay. Alright, so that's the commutative property. The second property is the associative property. And this says that the way that numbers are grouped doesn't matter. The associative is your parenthesis property. If I put the B plus C in parentheses and the A is by itself, that's okay. If I put the A plus B in parentheses and the C is by itself, it's okay. And so, for example, 5's hanging out with 3. Well, that's 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. Let's say the 5's hanging out with the 4. Well, 4 plus 5 is 9. When you add 3, that's still 12. In multiplication, it's the same thing. 2 times 3 times 1 is 6. 2 times 3 times 1 is 6. And so just remember that that number in the middle is associating with a different number on both sides, but it doesn't change anything. And you know you associate with different groups of friends. So for example, you could be friends with one group and friends with another group, but you're the only consistent between the two groups. But it doesn't change anything. You're still friends with both. Alright. The identity property, the value numbers of the number stays the same. You can either add 0 or multiply by 1, and it doesn't change the number. So again, remember, adding 0 to a number doesn't change it. So if I do 4 plus 0, I have 4. If I do 12 plus 0, I have 12. If I do 729,863 plus 0, that's still what I have. It doesn't matter. Same thing with multiplication. If I multiply a number by 1, that doesn't change the number. So if I have 4 times 1, that's 4. 12 times 1 is 12. Okay, so for identity, the hint is stay who you are. Keep your identity. The inverse property. So if you add the opposite, so adding numbers opposite, makes the value 0. So for example, if I have 5 and I add negative 5, that's equal to 0. If I have negative A and I add A, it's equal to 0. So remember, opposites cancel in addition. In multiplication, multiplying a number by its flip makes the value 1. So if I have 4 and I multiply it by 1/4, that is equal to 1. If I have 3 halves and I multiply it by 2/3, that's equal to 1. And I don't have a really good hint for that one. Just know if you multiply by the flip, it equals 1. Distributive property, we've already talked about this. You multiply each number in parentheses by the outside number, then perform the operation. So we've talked about A times B plus C is equal to AB plus AC. We've talked about numbers. 2 times 3 plus 4 is equal to, is equal to 6 plus 8. And that is equal to 14. And the hint there is trucks distribute things to many locations. We have a 0 property of multiplication. Any number times 0 is 0. So for example, 4 times 0 is 0. 12 times 0 is 0. 729,836 times 0 is 0. So if you have no candy, the amount you have is 0. So if you have 4 people and no candy bars, that's 4 people without candy. Alright. So some new ones here. We have the axioms of equality, and these are the ones that get confusing at times. So let's learn carefully the difference. In a reflexive property, the location of an equal sign does not change the value when adding or multiplying. A number is equal to itself. So if I do A plus B is equal to C, that is the same thing as saying C is equal to A plus B. If I do 4 times 1 is equal to 4, that is the same thing as saying 4 is equal to 1 times 4. Or no, I'm sorry, 4 is equal to 4 times 1. And so it's a reflection of itself. 4 times 1 is equal to 4. 4 is equal to 4 times 1. So when you look in the mirror, you see a reflection. The difference between reflexive and symmetric is just in what I just did there. In symmetric, it would be 4 times 1 is equal to 4, and then 4 is equal to 1 times 4. So symmetric means that like things are equal part from the split right here. Same thing, A plus B is equal to C, split, C is equal to B plus A. So that's the symmetric. In the transitive property, it says, if a value equals a second, so if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A is equal to C. So transitive property, I often think of the word 3. 3 things should be happening. So if A is equal to 4 and 4 is equal to C, then A is equal to C. And again, my hint is 3. 3 things should be happening. And then finally, I think, we have the substitution property. And this means that equal amounts can replace each other. So, if A is equal to C, then A times B is equal to C times B. Or, for another example, if A is equal to 4, then A times B is equal to 4 times B. And we just used substitution in what we did earlier in the week. So we know substitution. All right, go ahead and make sure you got all these notes. Look over all the properties. Tomorrow you'll have a cheat sheet for the SOLs. You can't use it on the SOLs, but it'll help you kind of study and look at the pictures of what these properties are. And then we got a couple activities to go through, and we may even make like a little cheat sheet flip book or something to help us out. But these are all the properties that you need to know, and they're real simple. Have any questions? See me when you get in class. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.